Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a real honor to be on this stage today and to address, among other things, CCUS.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here, Julia. I mean, this is a topic that is so relevant, and especially if we look at the past, because when we talk about biomethane, for example, 2022 was a big milestone year for biomethane, right? In Europe, I mean, the European Union, we came up with the Repower EU plan, which was the strategic plan that they had as a response to the energy crisis. You might know it. And there was a target in there as well of 35 billion cubic meters, I should say it correct, that they aim to have when it comes to biomethane in Europe. Because of that, a lot has happened, right? I mean, it has had a big impact on the market, and it's also accelerating very quickly. So I think it might be prudent, right, before we dive deeper into the topic, maybe if I can ask you to give us a bit of an overview of what is happening on the European sort of landscape for the market when it comes to biomethane.
Absolutely, happily. So as we all know, the energy crisis and 2022 was a wake-up call for all Europeans and for industries. Biomethane was really put in the agenda at the time, and we saw that on one side, energy security also ramped up in the geopolitical agenda and the discourse at international level. And we also understood that in order to get to energy security, we cannot forget about climate change mitigations. That are two things that need to work together, hand by hand. And so in this space, biomethane really ticks all the boxes. We're talking about a renewable gas, the most cost competitive to date, readily available, and infrastructure compatible. So the emergency response of the European Commission, as you said, featured this indicative 35 billion cubic meter target by 2030. And to give you an idea of the challenge, this would mean basically scaling up the sector in 7 years' time by tenfold, so 10 times.
Is that something that you think is possible?
Yes, I think it is possible, but however, we need policies to accompany this. We need a long-term perspective, and we need to make sure that the market can continue doing the efforts that it's doing at the moment. Last year, we grew by 20%, and that is not enough. It is a lot, but absolutely not enough. We are seeing that the member states in the European Union are also doing a lot of efforts. In the draft national energy and climate plans, biogas and biomethane are featured as target in the majority of the member states. But 2024 is completely a different landscape compared to 2022. And this is also because fossil gas at the moment is trading at 25 euro per megawatt hour. So if we look at the short-term perspective, we see that there are some signs of slowdown because we're not pushed as hard by the prices and the prices signal that we have in 2022. But the target remains really valid. So at the moment, we have 1,300 operational plants in Europe, and we need 4,000 new ones if we want to get there.
So how do you, if I may get in there, because you're describing some facts, right? Some of the statistics where we stand. How do you look at that target then of 35 billion? Do you think it's too much? Do you think we're going to make it? Do you think we should up it even more? Because it's also a question of what do we need to have in order to be in line with 1.5 and averted?
We think that 35 BCM is ambitious, and we can get there sustainably. Of course, at the moment, I would say that we are missing all the pieces of the puzzle, and we need more long-term perspective and probably more support. On the side of the market, we cannot be let alone at this point. So the 25 euro per megawatt hour at which the fossil gas is trading at the moment is a signal, and we would like to make sure that governments are concentrated on accelerating renewables and biogas and biomethane in this case.
Absolutely. You mentioned delivering it sustainably. If I can maybe extend the scope of what we're discussing. So you have biomethane, but what if we add biogas? What would you say is needed to, in a sustainable way, deliver more? Does that work? How do you sort of see that?
So we did a study back in 2022 to understand what were the resources, what were the organic matters that we could explore. And we discovered that there is high potential at the moment that is completely untapped. And here I'm also making a bit of a link to what is the beyond energy, if you allow me, part of biogas and biomethane. So we are looking specifically at resources that are not in competition with food on feed, that are actually at the moment representing big societal challenges. So industrial wastewaters, for example, urban wastewaters, bio-waste produced by our cities, our restaurants, our agro-food industry, that if left untreated can also create a problem in terms of methane emissions.
Right.
Whereas when they are treated in anaerobic digestion environment, they can create some additional benefits. So here I'm talking about, for example, slashing the emissions from leaving these substances untreated, also reducing the volumes of bio-waste, for example, or sludges, and producing at the same time renewable energy carriers. And as we were saying before, the beyond the energy concept, I think is very important here, because when we are talking about biomethane and biogas, of course, we are not only talking about energy carriers. We are talking about a circular economy hub. So a system that on one side takes in a societal issue, which can be an organic matter, transforms it into renewable energy, but creates also some co-products. On one side, the digestate that can be substituting chemical fertilizers and giving back the nutrients to the soil.
So it really extends beyond clean energy production. It's
absolutely
about it being circular and bringing that about as well. One of the things that I've heard so many times mentioned in these dialogue hub sessions, in these interviews, these conversations with people, remains to be the issue of investment. It seems to be one of the most imperative, crucial bottlenecks oftentimes, but also things that can accelerate capacity. When it comes to specifically the thing that we're talking about, right, biomethane and producers, are they sort of actively investing in bio-CCUS initiatives, for example, or is that something that's not happening up to scale enough?
Yes, it is happening. So the short answer is absolutely yes. And mentioning bio-CCUS, biogenic CO2 is the other basically main co-product of biogas and biomethane production. So going really straight to the topic of today, it is important, first of all, to accelerate renewables and to make renewables available on the market, but we will need also removals. And biogas and biomethane can assist in this sense. So already at the moment, CO2 capturing technologies are available on the market, and they are applied in the more than 1,000 plants that we have in Europe. The interesting part is that the CO2 streams that are provided by the sector are pretty pure, and which makes it a big advantage in terms of the technological challenges of taking care of the streams.
What is needed then to accelerate it? Because I'm hearing a lot of good things, but what is the bottleneck, if you could say it very briefly?
Okay, there is one challenge and one opportunity. The challenge is at the moment, when we are looking at the size of the challenge, biogas and biomethane plants are on the small and medium size, so can give streams of CO2, for example, to the local market, which is great and contributes to the circular economy. However, we need to distinguish between streams of CO2. Here we are talking about CCUS, and here I'm talking about bio-CCUS. So what is the difference between a biogenic stream of CO2 and a fossil one? How can we make sure that we tell them apart and we have a solid life cycle assessment that gives back and monetize also the benefits of putting into the market streams of biogenic CO2.
So that's really, there's some development needed there then still to do that better and be able to differentiate between those streams.
Absolutely.
Juliette, thank you so much. You've given us a lot of insight into your expertise, your knowledge, all the work that you do. I really want to thank you for it, because I do think that that's really probably to a lot of people, also important and valid new information to be had. This already brings us at the end of this stakeholder interview.